So this is a quick look at MIDI bank change and program change commands with the Boss SY-1000. Now the SY-1000 has 4 banks, each with 100 patches in each bank. That's a total of 400 patches, 200 preset patches and 200 user patches. Using MIDI commands, you can select any of these 400 patches. There's 2 ways to do this, either with MIDI bank change commands or by editing the MIDI program map. If you're familiar with MIDI program change commands, you know there's typically like a limit of 128 patches that you can get to, but by incorporating these bank change commands, we can go beyond that limitation of 128 patches. Well, we're going to get started looking at the bank change commands. The first thing you might wonder is where's the documentation on this, because there's nothing in the user manual about this. You need to go to the MIDI implementation manual, and if you do a search for bank, you're going to find the notes here about bank change commands with the SY-1000. And the notes are not quite right because they offer a range of 0 to 2 for the bank change commands. It's really 0 to 3 because we've got 4 banks and it's going to be 0, 1, 2, and 3. So just a little heads up there, documentation not quite right. So if we send controller 0 with a value of 0, that gets us into the first bank of 100 user patches. If we send controller 0 with a value of 1, that takes us to the next bank of 100 user patches. If we send controller 0 with a value of 2, now we're into the first bank of the preset patches, the next 100 patches. And then finally, if we send controller 0 with a value of 3, we're into the last bank of preset patches, the last 100 patches. If you look carefully at the MIDI implementation, it says that it uses controller 0 and controller 32, but they only specify values for controller 0. So you can completely ignore the stuff with controller 32. So let's go over to the SY-1000 Tone Studio real quick. And I wanted to mention that this is assuming that you've got the SY-1000 with kind of the default settings. So if we go over here under MIDI setting, the receive map is set to fixed. So this means, you know, like program change 30 goes to patch 30. And we're not going to use any custom MIDI program maps. This is assuming everything's fixed. So we're going with this fixed setting here. So I've got this sequence set up in Digital Performer of 4 patch changes, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to play this sequence, and when I do, let me just slide this over here in the Tone Studio, we're going to see we get programs 1, 2, 3, and 4, just like what you would expect. So there's program 1, then it's going to acoustic, it's going to patch 3, it's called Strat, and then patch 4, Discovery. So that's pretty much exactly what you'd expect. Send program changes 1, 2, 3, and 4 and get patches 1, 2, 3, and 4. But I've got another track here called my bank change. And this has got bank change commands in it. And it's important to note that I send the bank change command before I send the patch change. So if you want to go to bank 3, you need to send a command that says bank 3 and then send the program change that follows it. If you send the bank change after the program change, it's not going to work. So the patch changes are actually at tick number 100. If we look at the bank change track, it's dead on the beat. So I've got controller 0 is what I'm sending, and then a value of 0, 1, 2, and 3. Let's turn that track on so it's going to play back. And let's slide this over here. We'll rewind back to the beginning, and there's the first patch. Now, when we get to the second one, we're at 26.2. Now we're in preset 3, and then our last one is preset 26-4. So we can see exactly here how the bank change commands work in combination with the program change commands. Now, what if you don't have, like, say, a MIDI foot controller that's going to be sending these bank change commands? Or, I mean, realistically, if you're on a gig, you don't really need to get to 200 different patches. In fact, probably a dozen or 2 patches is all you would ever use. So you can create a custom program map inside of the SY-1000 to remap any incoming program change to any patch that you want. So let's look at how we're going to do that. So I just let the track play a little bit just to get us back to bank 0. So we've got a user 1, preset 1, this dynamic saw lead. So let's go to our system again, and this time under MIDI setting, I'm going to change it from fixed to program. And I'm going to go, and this means that we're going to be using this program map. And let's go look at my program map. So the program map here lays out for our 4 different banks, and then it shows us like all of the different possible incoming preset changes. And you can see everything's kind of 1-to-1 right now. So, but let's do something different. Let's say for bank 1, for program change 2, rather than going to preset 2, I'm going to go to something like something from the higher presets. I want to go to, let's say, preset 28.3, which normally would be bank 3, program change 11, right? So I'm going to say on bank 1, if we get program change 2, we want to instead map that to, I think I said preset 28.3, right? So we scroll on down here, 28.3, and it happens that quick. So bank 1, user 1, program change 2, program change 1, patch 1, program change 2 should now give us preset 28.3. So I'm going to hit close, and I'm going to test that out by going back to Digital Performer, because Digital Performer will let me select patches using this patch column here. So right now we're on preset 1, okay? Just for the heck of it, I'm going to go to patch 3. So we can go, see it now goes to 3, our strat. Now let's send patch change 2, and boom, there we go. We're on preset 28.3 nylon bell. So I hope this gives you some insight into how the Boss SY-1000 handles these program and bank changes. And if you like it, please subscribe. And if you have any questions, or be sure to check out my Vintage Rolling Guitar Synth website. Thanks for watching.